I want to thank you folks all across the country. Our numbers are very strong in our radio ratings. They're the strongest where they run us live, of course. But we're up against, Major League Baseball in the playoffs. We're up against all kinds of sporting activities and so forth and so on. And we're right in the teeth of it, and we are duking it out, and that's thanks to you. Our podcast numbers are very, very strong. Our online numbers, live streaming numbers are very, very strong. We're looking at the YouTube numbers are very, very strong. So I want to thank you all yet again for all these platforms that we're on, and it's really a tremendous honor. I was asked by Fox and Friends to come on the program to talk about October 7th. And it's a fantastic program with fantastic hosts. They have great chemistry. Ainsley and Brian and Lawrence, they're just great people. And they let me speak. And it went on for about 15 minutes. And I want to give you a feel for this. There were protests all around the world, in the West, Western capitals, in our country, in favor of Hamas. And I was asked about it. Cut one, go.
Mark, thank you for being with us. I know it's a tough day for everyone around the world, or should be at least, but especially for you, because Israel holds a special place in your heart. I'm so sorry for what went on, and for all of our Jewish friends. But now we're finding out within our lifetime, and National Students for Justice in Palestine, these two groups are organizing rallies, Mark. Here in New York City, there's going to be one in Sydney at the Opera House. What's your reaction? Anti-Israel protests.
My reaction is this. In 1964, a great thinker wrote a book called The Suicide of the West. You're watching the suicide of the West. That was James Burnham. World War II, we fought the fascists, Hitler, Tojo, Mussolini. The Cold War, we've been fighting the communists, and now there's a fusion of the communist Marxists and the Islamists. And the West is not capable of dealing with it internally. The president talks about the enemy within. He's ridiculed, and he's correct. Europe is all but gone. I don't know that Britain could come back. I don't know that France could come back. They have these left-wing governments that appease, that are weak. They continue to have their borders open. If you listen to what these people are saying, the radical Islamists, they want to destroy the West. If you listen to their scholars and read their scholars as I have, this is a revolution by immigration. They see the West as weak. They see these parliamentary systems. They see our Republican system as poised for defeat. And they have no belief in democracy or republicanism. That's why Israel is the only democracy in the entire Middle East. Hundreds of millions of Arabs and Muslims, and there's one democracy, and it's called Israel. And all of the attacks are on Israel, all the propaganda is against Israel, all the Western media is against Israel, most of the Western politicians are against Israel, and we're told that Israel has a PR problem because it's Netanyahu. Israel doesn't have a PR problem. Netanyahu's the Churchill who's standing up to this. The West is weak. Our media are weak. Our politicians are weak. Some of them have been bought off. Some of them have just appeased. Some of them see votes in what is this new influx of immigrants and so forth. This is what you see. You would not have seen this 10 years ago, 20 years ago in the United States of America. 2 years after 1,200 innocent young human beings were slaughtered, raped, butchered, videotaped in the greatest attack since the Holocaust on Israel. 9/11 was the greatest attack on America since World War II and Pearl Harbor. Who did it? The same Islamists hit us on 9/11 as hit Israel on October 7th. And whose fault is it? Israel's fault? I mean, this shows you a sickness and a weakness in the West. And it is very important that we get the hostages out. But it's also important that Hamas is destroyed, because they will come back again. It is an ideology that doesn't die. This is out of the 7th century. These are primitives. These are barbarians. It is a bloodlust. The more torture, the more starvation, the more people they kill, the happier they are, the more successful they are. That's the ideology. The West doesn't understand the ideology, or people in the West don't want to deal with it. Our diplomats, for the most part, don't understand the ideology. They're looking, I need a deal today, I need a deal next month, I need a deal this. That's fine. But if Hamas comes out and survives after all of this, then they've won. And that's the way they view it. And unfortunately, I agree with that. Now, let us look at this. The fact of the matter is you have 1,152 Israeli soldiers that have died in this war. That's the equivalent of 40,000 American soldiers. There would be less IDF deaths if the IDF and Netanyahu and Israel were, as the Western media say, that is, just seeking genocide. That war in Gaza would be over in less than a month if the Israelis used the firepower they have in Gaza. But it doesn't matter. We still have news sites, including Israeli news sites, American news sites, who continue to talk about the casualty numbers that are fed to them from Hamas. No matter how many experts from the Wharton School and others say it's not possible what they're talking about, the death of children and the death of women. It doesn't matter. They keep pushing it because they push an agenda. It doesn't matter that the New York Times used phony photos on the front page of its newspaper. You know, during the Holocaust, we have black and white films, largely thanks to Eisenhower, who said, I want you to get your TV crews in there, and I want these so people see what happened. We have film after film after film. People can see it online. You don't have that in Gaza. Instead, you have phony pictures. Instead, you have propaganda coming from Hamas that uses its hospitals, its mosques, that slaughters its own people. I mean, truthfully, we have 250 hostages taken. It's crucial that we get back those who are alive and the bodies of those who have been killed, because in the Jewish faith, it is important to get the body back. There's a belief in the Jewish faith that the body and earth, in many ways, are one. That's why it's crucially important. But that said, you now have, and I'm looking at the updated number again, 1,152 Israeli soldiers. 40% of whom are under the age of 21. That's the equivalent in the United States. It's a nation of 9 million people, of 35,000 to 40,000 soldiers. And I would ask my fellow Americans this question. If the drug cartels came across our border in Texas and slaughtered 35,000 to 40,000 people in 5 hours, took pictures of it, took movies of it, the raping, the pillaging, the decapitating of babies, and then on the way out, they grab another 10,000 as hostages and secrete them somewhere in Mexico, what the hell would we do about that? Would we say 2 years is too long? Would we care what the international press has to say? Would we care what these Islamist imams in Dearborn, Michigan have to say? Would we care? No. You have an Israeli army that has their enemy finally surrounded after being pulled back by the Biden administration. You've had these spurts and starts on negotiations, mostly as a result of the international community. They've now surrounded the enemy in the city of Gaza. And what are they told to do? When Berlin was surrounded, what did we do? What did we do during World War II? When the Japanese wouldn't surrender unconditionally, we didn't continue to negotiate with them, did we? We had to destroy them. You can't win a war if you don't destroy the enemy. We talk about forever wars. Well, they'd like to end it. Hamas is surrounded, and Hamas is now negotiating. Negotiating for what? Effectively, it's survival. The Israelis could finish them off. People say, this got to get over. The pictures are too much. The PR is bad. This is why I don't think we could win World War II today with the kind of people in diplomacy around the West and so forth. They'd be showing the pictures of Dresden. They'd be showing the pictures of the Battle of the Bulge, how horrific it was. They'd be talking about all the civilian deaths and so forth and so on. I don't think we could win World War II today with the psychology and the mentality. And here's the thing. We're not losing anybody. We're here in the United States observing what's taking place. And we're saying this can't go on much longer. Shouldn't the Israelis decide what needs to be done to survive? They are surrounded. This is a tiny country the size of New Jersey with a population of a small to mid-sized state in the United States. Mm-hmm. They've defeated Hezbollah. They're trying to defeat Hamas. They've defeated Iran primarily. They're still fighting the Houthis. A tiny country surrounded by hundreds of millions of people, by 27 countries that are supported by the Russians and the communist Chinese. They are the David against the Goliath. And yet look how the propaganda has worked. The West, I hate to say it, but it's a wake-up call. The West is dying right now in front of your eyes.
Now, I know it's tight, Rich. Let's try and squeeze in cut 2. That will finish my interview. Go ahead.
Yeah, you see London, you see Paris, you see what's going on in both those countries. That's our future, you believe, in 5 years. And I hear you, especially when what we're about to do, who we're about to elect as mayor in New York City, and what we've seen go on over in Michigan. Al Jazeera is telling Arabic, said the meeting and the Red Sea resort is so far very positive. They got the 20-point plan that Trump put out there. They're working through it. They're working on logistics of getting the hostages out. 20 plus are supposed to be alive. Number one, do you think it's a good thing if this plan is followed through on, and what do you expect to see happen?
First of all, we have a great president who's trying to do something about this. Unlike Biden, who is undermining Israel and basically giving aid and comfort to Iran and funding Iran, we have a president who's trying to bring this to resolution. There will not be an eternal peace. The Bible talks about the battle of good and evil. It is a forever battle, and it will be a forever battle. But that said, if the president can pull this off, it'll be absolutely remarkable and absolutely wonderful, assuming that the Israelis aren't giving too much. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if Hamas survives, that's giving an awful lot. But it's up to the Israelis. And if the Israelis agree to this plan, and they do, who am I to say it's not good for their government? That's their elected government and so forth. All I'm doing is trying to warn our audience and the people, the dark clouds, they're there. They're getting darker and darker. You asked me, Brian, how could it be on this day that people are literally protesting on behalf of the terrorists and against a small democracy and the Jews? And it's in every capital in the West. It's in our own country in New York, and it is a poison. It is a gut cancer, and it is spreading. The only one who's fighting this in the West is Donald Trump. He's trying to fight the anti-Semitism. He's trying to deal with these colleges and universities. He's trying to look at the funding sources. He's trying to do these things to try and prevent the United States from becoming Britain and France and these other what are becoming failed countries. No country survives in perpetuity. Where's Athens? Where's Rome? In fact, ironically, the only people who have survived so far are the Jews. They defeated the Persians, the Babylonians, the Persians. They out-survived them, I should say. They out-survived the Romans. They out-survived the Third Reich. They will survive this too. But this is why these are warrior people. They come out of the cafes. They come out of the law offices. They come out of their taxis because they know this isn't a battle. This is survival. And that's what it is. So I personally want to thank President Trump, who understands all this, who keeps reminding people, remember October 7th, even against some of his advisors and some of the diplomats and these Western leaders who talk about a two-state solution. They're destroying their own countries, and yet they're telling Israel what Israel needs to do. Israel's best policy is to ignore them, and that's what it's trying to do.
All right, we have about a minute left, but it's okay. You get the gist of it. Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.